You know, I'm going to stand back there. Good evening. Voice of God standing directly in the middle of you. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. For those of you who don't know me already, I'm Karen Shunk. I'm Director of Technology Programs at OMG, and I am pleased to welcome you to another action-packed demo for BPMN in action. This is a traditional kickoff for our technical committee meetings, and it's an opportunity for everybody to hang out, relax, have a good time, but also for us to be able to spotlight one of our foundational standards. And I just want you to know that BPMN is, in fact, not just an OMG standard, but it's also an ISO standard. It's been a standard since 2005. This is the first of our special events here in Amsterdam. We are doing tomorrow starting the two-day business architecture master series, followed by a workshop on Thursday. And then also tomorrow morning, we have the data residency working group tutorial, which is on the impact of laws and regulations on data location and migration. In the afternoon, CISC, the Consortium for Information and Software Quality, is going to be hosting a forum on modern metrics for productivity and continuous improvement. On Wednesday morning, we have an information day on Unified Architecture Framework, UAF, in the context of the NATO Architecture Framework. And then on Wednesday afternoon, my personal favorite, OMG Retail, is sponsoring AI and the consumer experience, which is going to be pretty cool. If you have questions about OMG standards, or membership in OMG, you can see me, but it's probably better if you meet the PD team. We have Terry McElrath, we have Paul Berry, where are you, Paul Berry, and Diane Aramkin, right over there. And they would be happy to answer any of your questions. So, if you come up here, this is where the demo is. It's my pleasure to introduce Denis Gagné. Denis is chair of the Business Process Model and Notation Interchange Working Group. And he has assembled a group of BPMN vendors here tonight or dialing in remotely to demonstrate the iterative elaboration and interchange of the BPMN model using the respective tools that implement the BPMN standard. Joining Denis are representatives from Software AG, Esteco, BOC Group, Case Agile, Camunda, ITsoft, No Process, and of course Denis' own company, Trisotech, where he is both CTO and CEO. So take it away.
Thank you, Karen. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Our challenge tonight is not the technology that we're going to demonstrate. Our challenge is the technology we will use to demonstrate, which is Hangout and live streaming. So bear with us, please. So let me get this going. Oh, I'll share this. And yes, it is that. So welcome to our 2019 capability demonstration of the BPMN Model Interchange Working Group. As Karen suggested, we're going to have a demo or a presentation from various companies, including Software AG with Eris, Esteco with Cardinate, BOC with the Adonis tool, Camunda with the Camunda modeler and Kawimo, Case Agile, ITsoft, No Process, and Trisotech. Basically, the idea behind the BPMN Model Interchange Working Group is we wanted to make sure that we go beyond exchanging just pictures. We wanted to exchange models, actual models that had all the semantic and the notion. So BPMN is as the name says, business process model and notation. It's both a notation and an actual meta model and a file format for interchange. And what we're going to showcase tonight is the interchange portion, exchanging BPMN file formats. Any vendor is welcome to join. Anybody interested in BPMN interchange is welcome to join. In fact, You don't need to be an OMG member organization to participate in this. We really want to enlarge the community of using vendors of these devices. As of now, we've tested many different tools. We have a full suite of test cases that we enlarge continuously, testing both the visual interchange and the model interchange portion of BPMN. And all these tests are public domain and are available on our GitHub page if you want to consult the result there and see different element aspects. For the purpose of this demonstration, what we will do is each vendor, each tool will do a small portion of a model in their own tool, then save this into a central Dropbox where another tool will take the partially done work, add some more work to it, save that back to the Dropbox, etc., etc., etc. So we're going to be iteratively building a model by partially adding to one another's work. We've been doing this for many years. This is our 6th demonstration of this capability, and every time we try to cover different aspect of the BPMN modeling language. So today we're showcasing the notion of data inputs, data outputs, event-based gateways, compensation task and flow, and event sub-processes. So this is the model we will create. And this diagram gives you a little sense of which portion is going to be done by each different tools here. And we're all going to stitch this as we're going together. And naturally, because we are geek and because we are BPMN geek, we have a BPMN flow of our demonstration. So you can see the order in which the different pieces are going to come together. So we're going to have 2 parallel branch, one going linear, one splitting itself into parallel branch joining, and then we'll join everything else. We'll do another portion and rejoin everything else. The idea of this is to try to make this kind of quick and interesting to everybody. So let me switch back to Hangout here and introduce the team. So Benjamin will introduce himself.
Hi everyone, I'm Benjamin Michel from ITsoft, and I will be using BPMN Plus Composer for this demo today.
And now we have Falco.
Hey guys, this is Falco. I'm from Camunda. I'm going to use the Camunda Modeler and Cavimo, and I'm joining you guys from Berlin, Germany.
And we have Frank just on my right here.
Hi, my name is Frank. I'm also from Germany. I'm working for Software NG, and I'm showing you today ARIS, our business process management tool.
And I have Gabrielle.
Hello, I'm Gabriele. I work as a software developer in Italy at Esteco, and today I'm going to show you our product, which is called Cardinate.
And we also have Lucy.
Hi, I'm Lucy from Case Agile, and I will be using Visio from Microsoft to do my BPMN model.
And we have Simon from Trisatec.
Hi, my name is Simon from Trisatec. I'm joining in today from Las Vegas, and I will be presenting Trisatec BPMN Modeler today.
And I have Tim just on my left.
Hi, I'm from London, and I'm here on site today in Amsterdam.
Tim is the guy with the shaky camera. And then we have Zbigniew.
Hello, I'm Zbigniew. I'm from BOC Group, and I'm presenting today a tool called LMACE. I'm joining from Warsaw, Poland.
I was muted on the live show. So we have people from all around the world contributing to this. So let's get going with our demo. So we'll start with Gabrielle on the Esteco tool, the coordinate tool, who will start modeling his portion of the process. We'll also have Falco, so Gabriel here is opening his tool. We'll also have Falco in parallel with the Kawimo tool on Camunda, and we'll have Simon with the Trizotech tool. So you can see here Gabriel starting in the coordinate tool. We have Simon on the Trizotech tool, and we have Falco on the Kawimo tool. In this particular instance, all three tools are cloud-based or browser-based modeler. As you can tell, each tool is totally different in its interface, user experience, features, but they're all drawing BPMN material. So the important fact here is that it's all BPMN. The spec leaves it to each vendor to create their own user experience and their own way of capturing elements. So we see Falco here creating different element, Gabriel adding a data input object to his model, and Simon and the Trizotech tool creating different pieces there. So once they're done with their portion of the model, they will go and save this into a shared Dropbox so that somebody else can go and pick up their piece of the work. Naturally, what's interesting is that the work they'll contribute or complete is going to be an incomplete portion of BPMN. And that's part of the interchange too, is that we're able to interchange incomplete, non-quote-unquote valid diagram, but it's work in progress that is still a valid BPMN file format without being a valid BPMN model. And so we have Falco now that's completing his work. We have Gabriel also completing his work, and Simon who has completed his work and is sharing his material.
I'm done with my portion.
So Falco has completed his portion and put it into the Dropbox. So is Gabriel, and so is Simon. So now Tim from No Process is going to pick up the work that was done by Gabriel on his left, and will start doing his modeling from this portion of the work. Zbigniew from Poland VOC Adonis tool will pick up the work that was done on the Kawimo tool from Falco, and Benjamin to the far right is taking the work that was done by Trizotech and importing it into the ITsoft modeler. So again, you can see the different interface, the different elements, but in the end, all using BPMN. You may have noticed some tools had color to the diagram. The spec doesn't prescribe or describe coloring, but within the BPMN MIWG group, we did work to, in a de facto standard way, also be able to interchange colors, even though it's not part of the actual spec. So for example, you can see some color being added there to the work that was already there. Now we have Tim working on the no process solution modeling, and we have Zbigniew working in the Adonis tool. So all this work is completely standardized in terms of the notation, but also in terms of the hidden attributes. So not only what you see as a picture or a diagram is interchangeable, but also everything that defines the structure and the behavior of all the items you see on the screen can also be interchanged. So moving back to Benjamin here, he's completing his work. Tim is completing his work on my right here.
I'm done.
So Tim is done with his portion of the work, and we'll be storing it into the Dropbox. Okay, and Benjamin from ITsoft is also done. So now Frank with the Aris tool we'll go and pick up the portion that was done by Gabrielle in the coordinate tool, which had some addition by Tim on the no process tool, and he's going to open that continuous iteration of work and continue working on it. So here you have the two pieces in there. Zbigniew is completing his work on the BOC, and then Falco will pick up the work from what was done in Kawimo and BOC, plus what was done by Trizotech and ITsoft, and start stitching these different pieces into a sub-process that he's drawing now. So he's doing the container now of the sub-process, and he's going to go pick up the two pieces and bring them into that structure. So now we're watching the Camunda modeler tool. And I can move to Frank to my right on the Aris tool. Very noticeable is that Aris version 10 is now fully compliant to BPMN. This is a new version that they've put out recently that is performing very well in all our interchange capability. So Falco is also completing his portion of the work. So while Falco is stitching the bottom part of the model, we'll start yet the other end portion. So Zbigniew will start modeling with the BOC tool, the Adonis tool, the end portion of the process. Tim, with the no process tool, will do yet another portion, and Gabrielle with coordinate tool will do yet another portion of the end. So you can see that Falco is completing the work of assembling the sub-process, the expanded sub-process that contains an event sub-process within it that was created prior. Frank just completed the work in the Aris tool. So Lucy will now pick up the work from Frank. So this work that you see on the screen here from Frank, Lucy will go and pick it up and bring it into Visio. So the Case Agile tool is a Visio add-on. So she's actually working right into Visio with that add-on, that particular add-on, so they can complete the BPMN modeling. So we can see Lucy bringing in the portion of the work that was done by Coordinate, No Process, and Aris, and is going to add yet some other portion to that same model.
I'm done with the stitching.
Okay, so Falco is done with the stitching. So here's the expanded sub-process of our global model that is completed. Gabrielle is completing a small end part that's going to be on the second side of the model. Lucy is working on adding to this. In parallel, Tim is adding yet another end portion to this. And Zbigniew is also working on another end portion. So we're trying to do it very dynamically, creating different little pieces, dropping that into a central place, and reassembling all this a little bit on the fly.
I'm done.
So Gabrielle is done with his portion. And we can see here the small portion that he did. Zbigniew is completing his portion for the end part. And Tim is also working on his portion of the end part. And during that time, Lucy is completing her modeling of the front part of the process. So she's completing the front part. Falco had assembled the middle part of everything that was done, and the other people are assembling end part of that same process. So there's no order to this. This is completely, work in progress from any level, any places. There's no procedure to how you have to assemble this. It's simple pieces that we can actually put in. So we see Tim's portion here. And what Simon is starting to do with the Trizotech tool now is he's going to take all the different pieces and the partly assembled pieces and reassemble them into one unique model. So I'm back here to Lucy. She's saving her file to the Dropbox. So the front end is going to be saved. So it's a simple save to the Dropbox. So we can tell in our nomenclature of a file, we have the trace of who worked on the pieces. So if you saw the name of the file there, had the trace of everybody that had added pieces to it. That's how we can figure out which file is what. And now we basically have Simon that is stitching all the different pieces into the Trisotech tool.
I'm done with my portion.
Okay, so Lucy has completed our front-end portion. Simon's going to pick up this portion and put it to the front of the work that was already stitched there. Going to do the connections that are missing. And then we'll basically do a little bit of unification of the view. As you can see, there's a little bit of styling and color. So what Simon will do is he'll just make sure that everything is in black contour, white background, and the actual diagram size. And you can see now on the screen the resulting work. So Simon is actually safeguarding this final diagram. So you can see that what was assembled is the diagram I was showing you in the PowerPoint presentation. And it's available. And let me go back so you can have the view of the global process here in BPMN. So there's a front end to it where there's a event-based gateway selecting of which. So this is a racing condition of which one's going to happen first. And then we go into a sub-process that is expanded with an event sub-process that can react within this context. And then we end the processes, whether in normal form or through an error path. And this is available through this. So let me share my screen again. Come back to this. So this is the process we created tonight for you. You can see the different tools, where their involvement was, how we stitch all this together. This is what actually happened live tonight. And that was basically our demo. Any questions we can entertain? Anybody? Maybe some of my colleagues will want to show the end result in their own tool, Recapture. So let me switch back to Hangout. And so you can see here the end result in the ITE soft tool, in the Camunda modeler, in the Aris tool, in the Estico coordinate tool, in the Trisotech tool, and in the no process tool. So you have the final result open.
One question.
Yes, please.
How often did you try this demo?
How often did we try this demo?
How often did you try before
So,
doing it today?
so we usually do, we usually start by defining the use case of the actual model, and then we try it to make sure that we iron out any interchange or interpretation issues. So we do that. Usually it takes about 3 to 4, 5 meetings to iron out the interpretation of the spec issues. And then this coordination of Hangout and thing, that takes about 4 to 5 sessions of learning to play the switching around. Yes?
When do you do the validation that this model is structured some, because you have a serious error in this model? When will you pick that up that this is wrong?
Say that again?
You have a serious error in this model. When will you pick up that
When you validate the model.
model is validate some according to BPMN?
Yeah. So each tool have their, so when we start to create the model that we're going to use, each tool will do their validation. So we'll create a model, somebody will submit a model, and then we'll validate it against each validator in the tools, and we'll validate also visually the XML. So we're a bunch of geeks that actually read XML, BPMN. So we validate that the structure is proper. And
because you have the event gateway in the front there. The sequence will not go from the send activities, come from the event gateway.
yes, somebody did the error in the model.
When did you pick that up?
Oh, we would validate it then at the end. So each tool have, usually the tool have non-blocking validation. So they let the people drop partial. So whoever did that portion, rather than starting from the event-based gateway, started from the task. So yeah, that's the proof that it's live. We didn't, yeah. So whoever did that portion did that, and that's okay.
It's not part of your software that you do the structural validation in there.
Yeah, each tool does it. They have their own validation, and it's usually non-blocking. So it's usually a on-request validation, so that users can model what they want.
But now that all the models are stitched together,
yeah,
you should be able to validate it, right?
Yeah. So then, for example, each tool will apply the validation, and naturally, each tool will have, quote unquote, their interpretation of the spec validation. So as you can see here, there's a validation about the syntax. So now there's two levels of validation that exist. There's the actual syntax, in which this syntax of this going from the event, the send task is syntactically correct. It's just semantically not correct. It's not the intent of the model. The intent of the model is that this link should have been on the event-based gateway, like he just did, as opposed. But syntactically, if you draw this, then it means that it's a parallel path to the event-based gateway and to the other path. Any other question? Yes.
What happens if the authors keep their ownership on their parts and they need to update their parts individually? How can you merge them back into your?
Yeah.
They fork.
Yeah.
You need to.
So that portion, which become a little bit of continuous integration type of pattern, is outside of the tool set. So some tool set may have some facility for that, but yeah, then you're in a pattern of continuous integration type of pattern, and then you can use whatever GitHub or whatever other approach you want to do that. But the BPMN standard and most of the modelers don't have those continuous integration facilities.
There are a number of people that work together, and sooner or later you have to.
Yeah, but usually this is done in a two-phase. So BPMN has kind of two life cycle. There's the design time and there's the run time. And so this design time is usually orchestrated into some project, even more so if you would have many people working on many different tools. The typical use case is that an organization will do one project in one tool, and they'll orchestrate that within that group. And then once that's ready, validated, then it's published for execution. And then in the execution, you will run, a certain specific version or the latest version while there's modification being done in design time. And then when the design time is ready, there's going to be a republication to the execution that is independent in a life cycle.
Well, any component that's up here, because they all came from different places. Can I find out who originally drew that, or what? Like if you right click
Yes.
on a box
Yes.
or something, can you figure out?
Well, in fact, the serialization, I don't think any tool has that feature as a user-facing feature that I know of. Maybe some of my colleagues can say otherwise. But within the serialization, the XML serialization, it does specify what the source is, what the tool source, and so it's all in there.
It would be nice if you could see, if you notice there's an error, okay, where did that error come from? So I can ask them to fix it versus me fixing it. Or, they're sending me new stuff, I want to replace all their stuff.
And in fact, if we were to open the XML of this particular model at the end, it's a huge file, because then you have all the vendor extension, because each vendor have extension beyond the spec that they add into the serialization. So this is a demo of that too. Here we have not only are we working with by the spec, but each vendor is doing extension, adding other features that they need for their own rendering and their own user experience is added into the file. And all the other tools are playing nice with that in the sense that they take the extension, they import them, they ignore them, they do the BPMN stuff, and they re-export the extension of the original file. So that way we're calling this playing nice with what's there. So yes.
Thought about the next step of replacing Dropbox by a repository?
Yes. The
export import side.
Yeah. Again, our goal is to showcase BPMN, and as we do that, now we're already Hangout and Dropbox is is our head scratching. Yeah. Yes. Not all tools have an execution engine. That's particular to each company, whether they have an execution or not. So some tools have both modeling and execution. Some vendors only have modeling. And I don't know of any vendor that just has execution.
No, well,
Yeah.
I used to, but I
Okay.
decided to do modeling as well, right?
Yeah. Yes. So if this was an executable model, again, this part of playing nice would have followed. So whatever attributes were populated within the model will follow with the model. And usually all these details are found into the hidden attribute of the model rather than the facing diagramming attribute.
So in previous years, we have demonstrated execution as well. Usually it requires the execution engines to add additional generally hidden attributes, because this is, well, an example would be the messages that you see on these models would need to be connected up to actual messages so that they can be received and such. So if you look at the YouTube recordings from previous years, that we certainly have done some execution examples too.
And there was a question, sorry?
Yeah, so I understand what you're structure, but to what extent do you also synchronize the custom attributes? Certain tools allow you to add certain attributes in a symbol.
Yeah.
To what extent do you synchronize that as well?
Part of this demo was to show all the exchange of these attributes as well. So in all the models, actually, I don't know of any tool that doesn't add extended attribute. So what we've demoed here, the extended attribute from Aris, from ITsoft, from No Process, from Cardinate, from Trizetech, from Case Agile, they're all flowing in there. And if we were to open the XML file,
if you switch to me.
So let me switch to Tim here. Where are you?
It's in the XML file, but it depends on the tool where it can be made visible.
Yeah. So for example, Tim is showing the XML file and he's highlighting. Can you zoom in?
Control plus or whatever.
So that's just one example. This is the Case Agile extension. We have Trizetech extensions here. I don't know what else I can spot as we go down.
Yeah, it's in the XML. So, but the actual user of the model will not notice that.
I see. So different tool will do differently with that. So some tool will expose extended attribute to the users. And I don't know of too many tools that actually support all the editing with widgets. They'll usually, those that do will offer you at least a text editor to it, or a viewer.
So the point is, if I would click on a process or activity symbol, I would not see, let's say, his attributes because my tool doesn't recognize it.
It depends on the tool. So some tool will display the extended attribute, other tools will not. And it's not required by the spec. So the spec only require that you show the actual attribute of the spec, but some
collaboration sometimes back.
Yeah.
Okay. You can see here that there is one extension that is for Artisoft. All the other.
Can you speak up?
There's a lot of noise in the back.
Yeah, you can see here that this extension. This extension is recognized because it's an Artisoft extension, but all the other that display raw XML, different, sorry, raw XML. It just says that there is a raw XML, and I can edit it or show it, but it would be just text. You can modify it by hand, but you can exploit it in the modeler.
Edit with K.
So you keep track of all the locations of all the objects on the canvas.
We
and
keep
you share that.
We keep track of everything that is in the model, and we keep track of the XY position of everything, of the color, of the bent, the waypoint, and everything.
So you're ahead of UML.
We're ahead of the world. Yes.
Of XMI, pardon me.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other question? No, we're all here available for questions if you want. Food is in the back, drinks are in the back, so please enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you.